Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Should You Play, where I'm going to show you some spoiler-free gameplay and give you my thoughts after playing new games for a few hours, as well as highlighting and checking out at least one of the PlayStation Plus games for each month. In this video, I'm playing one of the October 2024 PlayStation Plus games, Dead Space, the appropriately timed survival horror action remake of the 2008 game of the same name, which released in 2023. I've always known about the Dead Space IP, but I've never actually played any of the games before this one released as a PlayStation Plus game, so I won't be able to talk very eloquently about how the remake compares to the original, aside from the updated graphics of course, but I can say with certainty that if you enjoyed games such as Resident Evil, The Last of Us, or even the original BioShock game, you'll likely enjoy this as well, so let's not waste any more time. You play as Isaac Clarke, an engineer who is part of a crew sent on a mission to repair the USG Ishimura, a massive mining spaceship where his girlfriend Nicole happens to work as part of the medical staff.
It's all falling apart here. I can't believe what's happening.
After the opening cinematic unfolds, Isaac and the rest of the crew board the spaceship and start to realize that something truly horrible has happened to the ship and its crew. And within 5 minutes of gameplay, you'll already be trying to escape the outbreak of necromorphs and locate Nicole. The game primarily entails surviving attacks while trying to find a way off of the Ishimura, with some light puzzle-solving elements that'll require you to use mechanics referred to as stasis and kinesis, allowing you to slow down or move objects and targets. And there are also some optional side missions that you can take on if you'd really like to. Before I go any further though, I'll just give the advice now to save as often as you can at save stations. The game does have an autosave feature, but it doesn't seem very consistent, so if you're not saving at save stations whenever you can, you risk having to play prolonged sections over and over again. With that out of the way, I want to talk about navigation, and thankfully navigating the Ishimura is pretty straightforward despite taking place in a fairly repetitive looking environment. I think I only found myself truly lost once in the 5 hours that I played, and even if you are really unsure as to where you need to be going, you can click the R3 button and a line will briefly appear on the ground showing you exactly where you need to be going to progress. And you can use that feature as often or as little as you'd like. There are also some areas that involve zero gravity mechanics, and they are incredibly fun and fluid to navigate around in, even as necromorphs take advantage of it and try to ambush you from any angle that they can. You'll find various weapon types as you explore, starting with a plasma cutter and then expanding to flamethrowers and a pulse rifle later on. And your weapons will also act as your primary light source as you navigate the ship's many dangers, with ammo being available from corpses or from lockers and various other spots. Fortunately, as intimidating as the necromorphs are, they don't have one-hit kill capabilities like a lot of other survival horror monsters do, and you have a health bar which is indicated by the lights on the back of Isaac's suit. However, the necromorphs are no joke, and even on medium difficulty, require a lot of stopping power to take down, keeping in mind that destroying their brains with a well-placed headshot won't be enough to finish them off alone.
Isaac, don't bother shooting those fuckers in the head. Doesn't even slow them down.
One of the only things that really frustrated me about combat is that there's no way to actively dodge incoming attacks, and fighting more than one enemy at a time can feel a little less than smooth. I understand that Dead Space really isn't that type of a game, and I get that Isaac isn't a trained soldier, but if he's capable of beating a necromorph to death with nothing more than melee attacks, then I don't think that he should have much of an issue sidestepping to avoid taking a direct hit to the face either. Now, while I wouldn't call Dead Space the scariest game I've ever played, that didn't stop me from creeping around corners and checking my sightline before charging into an area, and I highly recommend playing the game in a dark room while wearing headphones, because the sound design and visuals are incredibly well done and give the atmosphere that extra boost of terror and dread that many games in the genre lack. Most of the Ishimura is dimly lit, but light is used incredibly effectively, whether it's from flickering lights, flying sparks, or having to shut off the lights entirely to move a power source. What's more, the game introduces an unobscured necromorph right away, avoiding the common trope of teasing glimpses of monsters and instead showing you that they're a serious threat from the second they make themselves known.
Oh, God! Kid! No!
And I already briefly touched on it earlier, but Dead Space lacks a traditional user interface, aside from when you're in the inventory or purchasing screens. So with your health bar being integrated into your suit and the waypoints being optional and temporary, the screen gets to focus on what matters most in a horror experience, the immersion itself. As for bugs and other issues, they were minimal. I didn't notice any frame rate issues, and I don't believe I witnessed any performance or graphics issues either. But if I were to be really critical, there were 2 or 3 physics bugs that I noticed involving inanimate objects moving on their own, and I had one instance where I was fighting the camera while trying to fight off a necromorph that had grabbed me. There was also another moment where my weapon wasn't reaching past an open doorway, but other than that, it was smooth sailing.
What now?
Ultimately, the 2023 Dead Space remake is definitely a worthy addition to the survival horror action genre. There are a handful of frustrating moments here and there, but I think that they did a really good job meshing the gameplay and horror elements together.
Strange. Such a little thing.
I do think that the base price of $70 is a bit too high for a game like this, especially considering that it's a remake and a relatively short game, with the average player completing the main storyline in about 12 hours. But if you have a PlayStation Plus subscription and can handle the blood, gore, and scares, I highly recommend giving Dead Space a shot and coming to your own conclusions about the game.
Easy to say the wrong thing.
As always though, this is just my opinion. If you're just boarding the USG Ishimura, or if you've already managed to escape from the necromorphs, let me know in the comments what you thought of Dead Space.
Guess we better go.
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Ugh!